Hello, Daz Studio enthusiasts. Welcome to my tutorial series. This is Not From This World, and today I want to talk a little bit about render quality. Now, I have to admit that I haven't really messed with this a whole lot. I've done a lot of different things in Daz Studio regarding render quality and render time, but I haven't explored the render quality options inside Daz Studio until recently when some of you subscribers have mentioned it. So I want to talk a little bit tonight about render quality and how we can render with a different quality. Now, in order to do this, we're going to go to render settings, and I have to admit that I almost always just render an active viewport. And so under our dimension preset here, it's defaulted to active viewport. I just render with this. And to do it, I always have to hide my menus and then get my camera ready before I render. Well, I have to admit that I am really impressed with some of these other dimension presets. So if we just click on this, we get an entire menu of options for render quality and size. We go all the way from renders that will be a display wide at 5:4 to a smartphone to portrait and landscape views, all the way to different qualities. So for example, I can render at 720 HD, I can render at 1080 full HD, I can render at 2K, 4K, 8K, widescreen. The choices are really amazing. And at first I was pretty skeptical, but I did some render tests, and you can definitely see some differences in your renders. And we're going to do a few tests just to show you, and we're going to compare render quality with render time. So I'm going to have to play with this a little bit more, play with these settings a little bit more. I was thinking at first that when I always render with active viewport, it makes putting pictures in something like Comic Life 3 kind of challenging. But if I can change my preset to something that fits that size of picture a little bit better, I may have an advantage. So the big thing that I was concerned with is, number one, the quality of the images, and number two, the render time. And so we're going to run a render here with Milica just to see some render times. And I'm going to start with just what I always do, which is our active viewport. So I'm going to set up an active viewport render, and we're going to render it. And then we're going to compare the active viewport to a couple other qualities. I think I want to render in 4K, and then I'm going to render the same image in 8K, and we're going to compare the quality and how long it takes. So let's get this active viewport render ready to go. So I'm just going to kind of get it set up. This is just Milica. She's on her bed. I think I've used this scene for another tutorial at some point in time, but we're just going to render this out. It's kind of a darker room, but we've got a few spotlights. Nothing crazy. So one character, couple spotlights, and let's render this, and we'll time how long it takes. Okay, I'm going to drop the image down a little bit or raise up my menu just so we can watch the time here. So it's already rendering at 75%. So this is going to go obviously very quickly. All right, so the active viewport rendered only took 1 minute and 20 seconds to render. And I have to be clear about this. I don't actually know what the quality is for active viewport. I tried to look it up for Daz Studio, and I don't know if it's just SD or HD. I have no idea. So if you do know what the quality is for active viewport, let me know. And that'll help a lot. But this was a quick render of only 1 minute and 20 seconds. I'm going to save it so we can compare it to some of the other renders. All right, next I'm going to change my active viewport, and we're going to go to Quad HD. We're going to render the next image in 2K. And the thing I really like about changing this that I really haven't noticed before, I've got to be honest, is when you change from active viewport to one of the other choices, it shows you in the screen what you're going to render. And so you don't have to get rid of your menus like this because it's already highlighting what you're going to render within your scene. Maybe I am just stupid. I've been using Daz Studio for like 20 years and I just kind of figured this out not too long ago. So, you can make fun of me or whatever, but this is such a big program. How am I going to know everything? And you get in a habit of doing it a certain way. But I've got to say I'm pretty impressed with this. So let's render in 2K and we'll see how long this takes. We're basically going to have the same image. All right, now you can see that it appears that the image is bigger, which is super cool. When we save this, it'll be a higher quality. All right, so interestingly, the 2K render rendered at 2 minutes and 40 seconds, exactly twice the time it took for active viewport. So let's save this picture, and we're going to save it as 2K for comparison in a few minutes. I'm going to jump this up to 4K. Let's see how long 4K takes, and we'll compare the quality here when we're finished. 4K, the picture looks even larger, which is pretty awesome. We are only seeing a little bit of it, but once we render, you'll see the whole image. Okay, so at 4K, we did go up in render time quite a bit. We went up to 5 minutes and 55 seconds. So that's an increase. We'll compare the quality here in a minute. It looks amazing, though. This is the 4K quality picture. Now, just for fun, let's go up to 8K. And so I'm going to increase this to 8K just to see what we're going to get. And you can notice it doesn't change anything to go from 2K to 4K to 8K. The view is still the same. So let's render this and see how long the 8K takes. Let's try and find her. There she is. She's much bigger in 8K. This is pretty cool that it renders at such a higher quality here. Look how much bigger her face is in the viewport here. It's pretty cool. Okay, so our 8K picture finally finished. It took 21 minutes and 40 seconds. So we're going to save it so that we can compare these images. Now, I don't want to really bore you a whole lot with statistics, but let's take a look at some of our results here. Our active viewport took 1 minute and 20 seconds to render, and the picture is 2.16 megabytes. The 2K picture took 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and it has a size of 4.97. Not sure what's going on with the 4K picture, but it took 5 minutes and 55 seconds, and it was saved at 2.84 megabytes. But look at this 8K. The 8K took 21 minutes and 40 seconds, and it is a whopping 39.6 megabyte size. Now, these are PNG files, so when we save them down as JPEGs, or if we save them as JPEGs, they're going to be a lot less. But let's look at the quality of these renders. This is what I find really amazing. So I'm going to click on my active viewpoint. We're going to open it up. And you can see, I mean, it's not a bad picture. I mean, this is what I usually render in. If I zoom in, though, you can really see the pixels. And so that's kind of a bummer. This is kind of how I've been rendering. I got to rethink what I'm doing here. So kind of interesting. The 2K is a better quality. And see, it's still pixelized somewhat, but it's a better picture. Twice the render time, but probably twice the quality. So if I zoom in here, you know, I save my YouTube videos at the best quality we can on YouTube. So you might want to change your settings to get a good idea of what these look like, you know, in your YouTube settings. So go to the best quality setting that you have. Look at 4K though. 4K, as we zoom in to Milika, she is looking even better. So this is 4K. And then of course, if you have the time to render 8K, this is actually amazing. So I can zoom in to 8K and just look at the quality as I zoom in. She is more beautiful than ever at 8K. I don't know if I will be rendering comics at 8K, but I will tell you that 8K is just amazing. And just as we zoom into her eye, we get a little bit of quality drop off as we zoom in even more. But this is beautiful. I think I may have to be rendering some in 4K and maybe even in 8K. It did take quite a bit of time to get this render done. 20 minutes. You know, and I have a good computer now with my RAM and my GPU. You know, my GPU is now a 4070, and this 8K still took 21 minutes to render. So, I don't know. I mean, what do you think about this? Is this something that you use a lot? Do you play around with this dimension preset and get different quality pictures? I'd really like to know what you think is the best. Just according to my little experiment here, I think I definitely need to jump up my game and stop rendering with the active viewport, which kind of makes me sad because I have like 120 comics that I've made and I've never really used the HD quality. Maybe even just this full HD at 1080 would be a good choice as far as render quality. All right, so that's gonna about wrap it up. I hope this helped you out. I've had a few questions about render quality, so I don't know if this clears anything up, but it certainly will open up a discussion. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And until next time, have a wonderful weekend and happy rendering.